49-0 at half? At halftime? This was a top 10 matchup. I've never seen this happen before. One more time so you understand. 49-0 at halftime. A top 10 matchup. Ridiculous. I don't even know the last time I saw a score this bad in a top 25 matchup, rather alone a top 10 matchup. This is history. I haven't even spoken about Michigan State on this channel because I knew they were frauds the entire season. I guess it took this to happen for everybody else to realize what I already knew. I've never understood the hype around them. They beat Michigan, but we all know Michigan, they're not a real contender, and we all know Michigan should have won that game. Michigan State didn't lose it, Michigan lost it. However you want to look at it, I gotta give them credit. They beat Michigan. Besides that, nothing else. It's the exact same thing with Iowa. They was ranked number 2 in the country, but we all knew they was not the second best team in the country. Right after they got ranked that high, they got beat by Purdue. No disrespect to Purdue, they're a solid ball club, but you shouldn't lose to Purdue the way they did. And then to follow that up, after Michigan State beats Michigan, they lose to Purdue, and then they get absolutely clobbered by Ohio State. The game was unwatchable after the first quarter. You saw what was going to happen until the rest of the game. CJ Stroud and the entire Ohio State offense embarrassed Michigan State. Those players should be slapped. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, was an old school butt whooping. Going into this game, if you thought Michigan State had a chance, and I mean even a slight chance, I question your football knowledge. I've never considered Michigan State a good team. I think they're slightly above average. If you want to argue and say they're a top 25 team, I'm completely fine with that. But a top 10 or top 15, no way. Do you really think they're better than Ole Miss, Oklahoma, or Baylor and some others? I don't think so. Before we move on, I want to speak on Kenneth Walker. The Heisman race this entire year has been wide open. After today, we may have a new favorite. Going into today, one of the main favorites was Kenneth Walker. I hate to say this, I hate to discredit him. This is how I feel. You can feel whatever way you want. I don't think he's the best player in the country, and I only think he's doing good because they haven't played good teams. I'm not trying to take anything away from the kid, but you saw today against Ohio State, they held him under 40 yards. I don't think he's a big-time player like that just yet. The reason I don't think he deserves the Heisman is simply because of today. You got to have a Heisman moment throughout the season, and this would have been the perfect opportunity. He didn't do it. It goes without a doubt in my mind, the Heisman race is between 3 guys. Matt Corral at Ole Miss, now CJ Stroud at Ohio State, and Bryce Young at Alabama. Today was probably the worst day of college football the entire season. There was almost no close games, and even the ones we thought were going to be close were blowouts. The main topic of this video will be Cincinnati. We'll touch on that in just a second. Let's talk about Alabama's game. Man, oh man, Bryce Young. What can I say? He had one of the best performances I've ever witnessed. His numbers don't even do it justice. One throw he had to Jameson Williams, he dropped it in. He couldn't have handed it off any better. For this game, he was 31 for 40, had 559 yards, an Alabama record, second in the SEC history, and also had 6 touchdowns. Jameson Williams also showed why he might be the best wide receiver in the country legitimately, and Mechie also showed why he's not too far behind in the Alabama standards. Jameson had 190 yards and Mechie had 170. Alabama snuck out this game. It was a sneaky one, 42-35. Arkansas is a good ball club, but they're not even close to a Georgia, Ohio State, or Oregon, or some of the other teams Alabama could potentially face in the playoffs. Back on topic with the Heisman, Bryce Young may have won it in this game with how great he played in a big-time matchup late in the season. The guy played the game of his life. You could start up Madden right now and still not even put up those numbers. In the beginning of the year, around 3 to 4 weeks ago too, I thought Matt Corral should win the Heisman at Ole Miss. After watching Alabama's game today, as to when I'm speaking, I think Bryce Young is the Heisman frontrunner, and he should win it. There's a lot of football to be played left. He's got to play against Auburn and also Georgia, so he'll have room for a Heisman moment again. Right now, it's hard to say anybody in the country is playing better than him. I'm going to hit you with something. Whether you think Bryce Young should win the Heisman or not, I think we can agree on one thing. I stand on this 100%. It's straight up facts. We can all agree if Alabama did not have Bryce Young right now, they'd have for sure 2 to 3 and maybe 4 losses. Nick Saban has got to be hugging him after every single game. He's the only reason they're 10-1 right now. The dude has played fantastic this season and he's exceeded expectations. Do you know how hard it is to surpass the expectations of Alabama? It's almost never been done. Going into the season, some people was like, yo, he's going to be good, but nobody anticipated this. You can't change my mind on that. If Alabama didn't have Bryce Young, they'd be something around 8-3 or 7-4. I don't got to speak too much on Bryce Young. If you've seen him play, you know I could go on and on about him. He's a great player. Let's get back on topic with Alabama as an overall team and unit. When you have Bryce Young play the game of his life, he couldn't play any better, and you only win by 7 points, that's a big red flag. Alabama right now isn't even close to a championship team. That also goes to show you how legendary Nick Saban is. This is the worst team he's had in 10 years, and they're ranked number 2 in the country. No disrespect whatsoever, but when you struggle with Arkansas at home, only winning by 7 points, and you have big-time goals of winning the championship, something's wrong there. I would say Arkansas is more known as a defensive team with sparks and flashes of greatness on offense here and there. And when they run up and down on you on your home field, you got problems. Nobody questions Alabama's offense. They're one of the best in the country. We know this. But their defense is not even close to being good. I would say their defense is below average at this current moment. Looking back at their only loss to Texas A&M, Bryce Young played another fantastic game, but it doesn't get talked about because the defense let up 41 points. If you score 38 points on the road in the SEC, you should win every game. I don't want to discredit Arkansas. It's more the fact we're used to Alabama dominating and crushing teams. We're not used to them having close games. Arkansas played the game of their life. They couldn't have played any better besides 1 to 2 mistakes. I enjoyed watching that Arkansas-Alabama game. Let me know what you think about it. But talking about this Alabama-Georgia matchup that's going to happen, I don't even know what to think. The biggest question with Georgia is, can they score enough points to win? And the biggest question with Alabama is, can their defense get a stop here and there? We're going to have one of the greatest games of all time. Alabama's high-powered offense against Georgia's best defense in maybe the past 10 to 20 seasons of college football. It's going to be so good because we don't know what's going to happen. It could be a high-scoring game or it could be a low-scoring game. As bad as Alabama defense has looked, I don't see Stetson Bennett airing it out like all these other quarterbacks. I don't even want to get started on that game. It's a couple of weeks away. Without further ado, let's talk about Cincinnati. Oh, wait. Before we talk about Cincinnati, let's talk about Oklahoma. I forgot about them. I'm not going to spend too much time. They won their game today 28-21 in a sloppy performance. It's very clear and evident that the hype around Caleb Williams has died down tremendously. His numbers are somewhat deceiving. He was 8 for 18, had 87 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. I don't think he played that bad. I think he played okay. Your casual fans are going to say, yo, what's going on with him? Why is he playing so bad? It's not necessarily that. It's the fact that he played so out of this worldly in the first 3 to 4 weeks that you expect him to do that every single time, when in reality, it's not going to happen. He almost set himself up for failure with performing the way he was when he was out there. I hope Oklahoma fans understand he's not going to be Superman every time he plays, and today proved that, and last week did too. The only other thing I'm going to speak on with this game is Oklahoma's biggest problem is their offensive coordinator. He needs to get fired. Matt. Why does he need to get fired? Because they could run the ball every single play and get 5 to 6 yards, but they continue to pass when they don't need to. I think Kennedy Brooks is one of the best running backs in the country. The problem is they don't give him the ball. Why does Oklahoma struggle on offense? In my opinion, they rely too much on their quarterback, whether that's Caleb Williams or Spencer Rattler. Not only do I like Kennedy Brooks, they also got Eric Gray, who I think is a great backup. Oklahoma, you wonder why you're struggling. Teams know you're going to pass. Run the ball. That's all I got to say. They were lucky to sneak out with a win today. Their season's over. They only play for championships, and they're not going to get to the playoff. Now, let's talk about Cincinnati, and yeah, this is about to be interesting. I was flipping back and forth between the Cincinnati and Bama game. I can't believe I'm saying it. They impressed me. You guys know I'm not a non-Power 5 fan, and I don't want to see them in the playoffs. I have to come to a realization. It's time to be honest about Cincinnati football. Man, I don't even want to say this. It's got to be said. They deserve to be in the playoffs. I'm going to say it. I got to. I changed my mind for this simple reason. One, if a non-Power 5 team ever has a chance of getting in the playoffs, it's going to be this year. Reason number two, I wanted to see how they would perform against a very good SMU team who could have been ranked, and they looked tremendous. Desmond Ridder was 17 for 23, had almost 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. He played almost like Bryce Young. Perfect. If you were watching this game, the score was 48-14, you're thinking their offense was good. That's not what impresses me. I think they should be in the playoff for their defense. They're super underrated. I know what some of you are thinking, Matt, why did you change your mind? It comes down to this. It's going to be more than likely, I'm going to say, let's just say that Alabama upsets Georgia. You're going to have Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, and then you may have Oregon or Cincinnati. That's what it's going to come down to. If it comes down to Oregon, Cincinnati, and they both win out, Oregon lost to Stanford, and Cincinnati didn't lose this entire season. I understand Oregon did beat Ohio State, but Ohio State has been much better since then. And Cincinnati, they're undefeated. Put them in so people can shut up. That's why I want to see them in there. Cincinnati has struggled here and there. The bottom line, every top 25 team besides Georgia has struggled with more than one game this season against a terrible team. I understand I've switched sides fairly quickly, but today was the game I was like, okay, I want to see what they got. In the eye test, it sold me. I'm only saying this for if they go undefeated. If they lose, no, not getting in the playoff. But if they look good in their next 2 games, let's put them in there. They beat Notre Dame, who's a top 10 team, and they're also going to have 1 to 2 more notable wins. I would put them in over Oregon because Oregon hasn't necessarily impressed me all that much. Cincinnati has a good quarterback, a good running back, and a great defense. When it comes down to it, what sold me after watching today's game, and this could change in the next week or two, you know how college football is, I think if they matched up with Oregon right now, they would beat them, and I would pick them to win. So therefore, I'd pick them to be my last team in. Now, if Alabama loses to Georgia, it doesn't matter because it's going to be Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, and Cincinnati. They'll get in no matter what. I firmly believe everything's going to play out the way it should be. And also, if Cincinnati gets in, it'll be fun to see. Not a Cincinnati fan. I'm not a fan of non-Power 5 teams getting into playoff because they play cupcakes. But it's time to be honest. This is a good ball club. Can't believe I just said that, but it is what it is. Let me know what you think about all this down below. But with that being said, it's going to wrap up this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys learned something. If you're new to the channel, what are you doing? Join the family. Hit that subscribe button and leave a like for more. And as always, let's be great. I'm out, y'all. Peace.